everybody. It is Romania Black, and I couldn't wait. We're on episode 7 of Cherry Magic, and I couldn't wait. How could I? No, I could not wait. Because it was just so damn good, so damn good. And we got finally Adachi confessing to Kurosawa, and now Kurosawa wants to go on a date and plan this weekend trip, and it's like, oh my god. And then we have Suge making progress with Minato, who we know his name now. It's just all over the place. It's pretty great. So yeah. I have my new shelf set up back here, which is fine, which does feature some nice BL works. We have Banana Fish in the corner. There's Given up there. There's also Twittering Birds Never Fly. And then one of my favorite series that I've read that's kind of outside of the channel is the Change World Sayonara Game Engage series, which is really great there. Got all them. And then, of course, Daokusei, because you have to have Daokusei if you are a fan of BL and yaoi. You have to have Daokusei. But yeah, so I got all this reorganized. I'm still working on it. It's not quite done yet, but it's going to be a summer work in progress, all that good stuff. But yeah, I've been really excited about this episode, and I didn't want to, I had the chance. I was like, I'm wearing a dope sketch shirt from Skate the Infinity. It's pink. Pink's kind of like the character Cherry. Cherry's kind of like Cherry Magic. So I was using like 7 degrees of BL to get back to this. But yeah, I just couldn't wait. I was like, I'm going to have comments that I'll be able to look at leading up to episode 8, which will be the rule of 8, which, oh my God, but we'll cross that bridge next week. But I was like, I just have to watch episode 7 now. So sorry about that. I do want to give a shout out, though, over to Patreon, to our philanthropy tier before we begin. People on Patreon, they donate to the channel and help support me, and I really appreciate it. It's per month, so whether it's $1 or $5 or the $10 tier that the philanthropy tier donates, you all help me out so much, and I am so appreciative of your kindness and generosity. It is something in this economy, so thank you so much for your support. I am so appreciative. So I want to give a shout out to Alex Cornejo, to Be Happy, to Bisa, to Damage3245, to Dana, to Danger Zone, to Devorin, to Destiny Marie, to Ichu, to Eric, to Fisho, to Ghostly Turnip, to El Cuno, as well as El Freya, Lyndon, Liam Polzel, Matthew Palfinier, Murphew, Willie Morris, Translucent Min, Sunspots, and Shimoyama. Thank you all so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. Thank you. I'm really excited about that. So yes, really excited to get into this and see what all we get. But we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive right into Cherry Magic and see what we get for episode 7. And we are going to do that here, y'all, in 3, 2, 1. And I'll see you all on the other side. This show doesn't miss. It doesn't. I have no notes. There are no notes. It's just that good. Oh my gosh. Every episode of this series, I expect there to be some form of miscommunication that goes into like a trope that I would expect, not just specifically from a BL, but just from a romance rom-com in general. I think if you've watched enough rom-coms, you kind of know the miscommunication tropes that can come about, and you're like, oh, is this gonna happen? And this show finds a way to either make it happen but it works out, or to subvert it in a way you're not expecting, and it's just so damn good. I was just oohing and awing over this episode and how adorable it was in their first date, and there's so much that you can relate to. There's so much to talk about. We need to dive into it. Did I spike this coffee? Maybe. But I feel if any show deserves it, it's Cherry Magic, right? So Adachi surprises me so much, because whenever I know he confessed to Kurosawa last episode, so it would be only natural that he's excited about this date. But where they left us off last episode was like one of those unintentional cliffhangers, or maybe it was intentional by the mangaka, but it feels like one of those cliffhangers where Adachi's like, oh no, a date. I confessed my love for him, but I wasn't expecting a date. You know, one of those scenes. And so I was coming into this episode thinking, okay, Adachi's going to be super nervous about the date. It's not that he's nervous about the date itself and going on one with Kurosawa. He's all about it. It's every little detail of getting it wrong that he worries about. And honestly, I can only hope if I go on a date with somebody that they are like Kurosawa. That's all I can say. We all deserve to go on dates with Kurosawas. We all deserve to go on dates with people as considerate as Adachi. We all deserve this because these two men are just like, I just feel like I just got a bowl of sugar and I'm just eating out of it with a spoon. Because a lot of Adachi's concerns are concerns that I have had on dates. And they're not that many, but few and far between, but still feelings that I've had. And I'm sure they're feelings that many of us have had. Like, there's nothing worse than oversleeping for any event. There's nothing worse. It doesn't matter if it's a date or work or a party or anything. The oversleeping feeling and having to rush is the worst feeling. Now, luckily for Adachi, Kurosawa is all about that bedhead, so he's all for it. So good for him. Also, one thing I really like about this series as well is that when Adachi's putting the clothes on, then he's deciding what to wear, Adachi's got some muscle and he's built. I feel like sometimes in BL, well, I don't know. It depends on the artist. There are some BL like Fake, which I love Fake. It's one of my favorites. It's from the 90s. And in that, all characters look pretty much the same unless they're an extreme generalization. So they both kind of look like bean poles in that series. But in some, it's like one is like really lithe and very scrawny, and one's like the buff, manly man of the two. And so I like that Adachi's got some muscle on him as he's getting clothes on. I like that they give him some muscle to do as well. But yeah, so he's like, oh, should I wear an accessory? And then he's like, I don't have any accessories. I was like, well, you know, that's fine. I'm not much of a jewelry wearer either, so it's okay, Adachi. We're with you. I love that in the OP they gave us their outfits. I thought that was super cute, right? And I also love that this episode did not have them breaking up or having some stupid miscommunication of, I just don't think I'm ready to date you. Or like, cut that bullshit away. Get that bullshit out of here. Nobody's got time for that. No one has time for that. And that's kind of where we are. So, yes. Awesome. I don't know if do you all think they'll make a season 2 of this series? Or is this going to become one of those series of, you need to read the manga after you watch the series because we're not going to do anything more with it because they're a bunch of bitches? I mean, I don't know because they're making a Skip to Loafer season 2, and I was told that there wouldn't be a Skip to Loafer season 2. They're like, no, it's one of those manga bait series, and you got to read the manga now. They're never going to make a season 2, and then they're making a season 2. So, but the thing about it is, Cherry Magic has had a live action adaptation for quite a while, and they haven't adapted any more, although my theory is they haven't adapted any more of the live action because things get spicy in the manga and the live action people don't want to adapt it because they're homophobic. But anyway, I wonder if we would actually, I mean, allegedly, I can't say that about the company. I'm not going to defame anybody. Those are all just my opinions, not factual or stating anything that has been in writing or said or spoken. But I do think that I would love to see them make a season 2 of this series because it's just so damn good. But I don't know if they're going to, if they're going to make this manga bait, which is frustrating. And as you know, I'm a teacher, so I like to plan ahead. But it's still ongoing. This manga is. I already looked it up. Why? I have so many manga that I keep up with. Why? Why are you doing this show? Do you all think there'll be a season 2? There probably won't be. Anyway, I'll just get on a rabbit trail about that. But, I mean, I think Adachi being himself is the most important thing about this entire episode. What I love about Adachi is himself, for better or worse. Adachi has some moments where he really gets in his head and he overthinks things and he lets negative thoughts get to him. And I hate that about when he does that because I'm like, oh, Adachi, you're amazing. Why would you do that to yourself? But then there are moments where Adachi's so genuine that I'm like, it's okay, dude. Now, the question is brought up here. Is he going to tell Kurosawa about him being able to read his thoughts? I think he's going to tell him. Now, of course, here's the thing that makes me a little bit hopeful. Adachi always goes with the worst case scenario. The moment he hears something remotely negative, he instantly assumes it's the worst bad news bears. But we didn't actually get to hear what Kurosawa was actually thinking. So I'm thinking Kurosawa is like, oh, you can read my mind? This will make things so convenient at work. This will make things so convenient for this and this. We can have secret powers and talk to each other. I think Kurosawa will find it to be something really cool, but I do think that it's important. I think Kurosawa would not only forgive him for not telling him, because, I mean, you can imagine why somebody wouldn't want to say something and seem like a crazy person, but I also think it's important that Kurosawa would accept him, but it does need to be where Adachi admits that he has the power. Adachi needs to be the one to come out and say it, but Kurosawa is going to accept him and forgive him for whatever he's afraid of, you know? So I don't think it's going to end up being a big deal. But I like that Adachi, for the most part, is so genuine about himself. I'm like, that's what Kurosawa likes about you. He doesn't care that you don't wear Armani or fancy suits or have refined taste. He likes that you have funky bedhead and you're adorable. So just, you are the luckiest man alive, Adachi. Just accept it. Just accept it, Adachi. And and Kurosawa is very lucky too. I don't want to diminish Adachi at all. Kurosawa is a very lucky man because Adachi is so kind and genuine and not manipulative. He just loves him. But Adachi won the freaking lottery. He has a man that looks like a model that loves him, is head over heels for him and his bedhead. We could only be so lucky. Correct? Right? I love Adachi's like a cat, like, so much light, so much light. It's adorable. It's cute. And he says he's out of my league. But the thing about it is, one thing I like about Kurosawa is he kind of reminds me of, there's a character in Uramichi Onisan who are very handsome, but then on the inside, they're very human. So they were just blessed with genetically great looks, but they're kind of dorks. And they're kind of dorky on the inside. And why aren't these models that are dorky on the inside real and standing at my doorstep? Just making me jealous, ruining men for all people. Yeah. And he's so freaking romantic and cute. Kurosawa is my type 1000%. Kurosawa is 1000% my type, to the point where it's just not fair. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, Romania, he's also not attracted to women. And I was like, I know, he's checking off all the boxes. One thing, though, is I'm very much like Adachi in the fact that I would want to move insanely slow. I'm not a fast mover in relationships. And that, I feel like, is a detriment a lot of times, because especially in America, especially on apps, most people that are on there are not in it for a slow burn relationship. They are in it for a one shot. And that's not my game. So it's like, I'd have to be like Adachi and being like, you're going to have to move at like escalator on the lowest setting pace, and, you know, slow and steady. Right. And the thing is, you want someone like Kurosawa that's in love with you that would go that speed, because they're totally fine with that. But everything about this episode, they were on a date. And when Adachi's like, how do these people know? I'm like, you all could not. I don't know. Maybe the people on the street that saw Kurosawa tuck your hair behind your ear, maybe they got some kind of idea in their head about it. But I love, he's like, we're wearing matching hoodies, all this. He's like, we're right. Yes. He's like, I didn't have time to fix my hair. And Kurosawa's like, it's so cute. I like that in Kurosawa's head, he calls Adachi cute a lot. However, when he talks to him in public, he is about to say cute, but then he says handsome. Like, he doesn't want to emasculate Adachi or make him feel like he's talking down to him, which, you know, is a societal normal thing being put into place and tested. I do agree. Adachi loves Kurosawa, but I think Adachi is not prepared for how much Kurosawa fantasizes and thinks about Adachi. And Adachi's like, you know, the fact that you remember this specific part is it's kind of a lot. And I'm like, Kurosawa is kind of a lot, but I feel like Kurosawa, that's his insecurity. And Adachi's fine with it. He just, you know, has to get used to it. So Kurosawa asks Adachi what he wants to do on this date. And to be fair to Adachi, I mean, I like that Kurosawa's being nice, asking him what he wants to do. That's very gentlemanly, very chivalrous. But Kurosawa did propose the date. So I'm assuming Adachi, like the rest of us, would be like, well, surely you have something in mind that you want to do since you proposed it. Now, I like the stoplights at red while they're having this conversation, meaning they're kind of stalled. And he's like, oh, so you're okay with me deciding the date. And then he grabs his hand and they go into a song called Date. Lyrics and song by Kurosawa Yuichi. And I lost it. This song, it reminded me of, have you ever watched The Regular Show? It's a Western animation. There's an earworm from that show, and it's very fitting for right now. It's like, it's summertime, and you know what that means. Gonna head down to the beach, gonna do some beachy things. It's like, it is a little dingling, jingling song like that in the regular show called Summertime, and it's such an earworm, and it's da-da-da-da-da-da, loving in the summertime. It's like that song, that same little melody is the same melody that this song Date is too, and all I could think about in my head, I'm like, oh no, it's another earworm like Summertime. No, it's gonna be stuck in my head forever. But yes, it's like our own very special day. He's just like going in circles, waving his hands as he's singing it like a damn Disney movie. Oh my God. He's like, my frolicking heartbeat. Is this a date? He's like, my heart will decide. It becomes a damn play, like a musical. Like this became the 8th season of Glee. She's like, bleh. Adachi is not a romantic. He's a softie, but he's not a romantic. Kurosawa would be front row at a romantic comedy, ready to make out in the front row. The lyrics are insane, but he sings them so well. Yeah, he has a great singing voice, so it's like pretty privilege. He just gets away with it, right? He's like, yeah, you know, you're a stylish guy. So, he's like, I don't know what to wear. Maybe we could go shopping. I mean, a shopping date sounds amazing. I'm all for that. That sounds great. That sounds like something that two men that love each other would do. So I can't judge because I'm not a man that loves another man. So I don't know. But yeah. But again, him grabbing him by the shoulder and holding onto it. I mean, I got a best friend and we go shopping together. But here's the thing. When my best friend and I go shopping, I don't grab her shoulder and squeeze it lovingly. I also don't lean down and whisper into her ear in front of the cashier. You know, just things like that. And I also don't shop for that person. I feel like when you're shopping with your friends, you pick out clothes and be like, what do you think about this? And they'll be like, oh, that looks great. Or I don't know. But when you go shopping with someone and you're like, shop for me and pick me out something good to wear, like that old man said, that usually means that you want them to pick out something that they're going to take off later. And it's like that's a whole different context from shopping with friends to shopping with a significant other or a partner. That's a whole different story. I also like Kurosawa's aesthetic for what he imagines Adachi in is like the giant chunky cable knit sweater, which by and large makes Adachi look like Haru from Free. And then you have him with the glasses and like the pink. He imagines Adachi in like pastel and mint colors, which to be fair, go amazing with his eyes and hair color. But I love the way that he fantasizes about what he's wearing. But then later he says that Adachi would look great in dark colors. And I'm like, dude, you just want to see him wear anything, right? When Kurosawa's like, here, try on all these blazers and wear nothing else underneath them. Yeah. And then he's like, just dress me in your colors now. Oh, I'm sure if Kurosawa had the option, he'd dress you in his colors for sure. All weekend long, baby. So he's like, I don't know. And then whenever Adachi's like, I don't know if we need to go out and go shopping. And Kurosawa's like, he does the puppy dog eyes. He is like a puppy dog. A deceiving little puppy dog, but one nonetheless. Yeah, I would agree with Adachi. I would feel so out of place in a fancy clothing store. My best friend and my other friend and I went on a vacation together last week, which is why I was not here recording. And my best friend likes Louis Vuitton. and I don't care for labels. I know what they are, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm more into cute things and the aesthetic than the label. But she likes Louis Vuitton. She's like, one day I'll have a Louis Vuitton. That's like her dream. But my friend and I had to go into all of the Louis Vuitton stores in this city to go check them all out, which was fine. I enjoyed it. But the whole time I was sitting there, I was like, I feel so out of place because I don't think I will ever own anything that is as expensive as what is in this store. And I remember there was like a really cute blouse that had these like blue and red floral paisley designs. I was like, that's actually kind of cute. I'm not usually I don't like the Louis Vuitton logo. I think it's kind of meh. But I thought I saw it print. I was like, that's really cute. That paisley's nice. So I asked the man how much the shirt was. He had to scan a QR code to find out how much it was, which was the instant red flag of, you can't afford this. And I thought in my head, I'm like, it's probably gonna be like $600 or $700, which is pricey for Louis Vuitton, but is actually cheap for Louis Vuitton. I was like, it's probably like a $700 shirt, but I just want to ask. And him and I had a moment where we locked eyes and he's like, so you want to know how much this shirt is? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's $3,200. And I went, ooh. And we locked eyes and we both had that acknowledgement of, I'm going to back as far away from this shirt as possible because if I stain it, I don't have the money to buy it. And he was like, yeah, okay. He was like, are you good? I'm like, I'm good. But yeah, I cannot fathom paying that much for an article of clothing that you could either one, outgrow, or two, get tired of. And then you've wasted all that money. I was like, you could go on like 3 vacations, decent vacations for that much money. So no. And that's like a whole week's worth. Yeah, no. So I feel for Adachi. And he's like, as long as it's easy to move around in and age appropriate. Yes. He sounds like a light jacket. Now, to be fair, he did end up getting a jacket that he wore the rest of the day. So he didn't put it back in the bag. But yeah, this man that's there, he's probably like, this guy's like getting you dressed up, huh? Yeah. And their conversation, I was like, that man knows you all aren't just friends here. Let's be real. So I want to see how much that jacket was because I'm really curious. So we're going to use yen to USD. It was 19,800 yen. Oh, okay. So it was $137 for the jacket, which is pricey. I was expecting it to be more expensive because it was from a designer store, but $137 for a blazer, for a jacket is, yeah, stylish clothes are twice as expensive as normal clothes. And look, I think Kurosawa does a lot of good things on this first date. I really think he does. I think the best thing Kurosawa does is be okay with the fact that some of the stuff he did might have been over the top. Because I think going shopping for clothes on your first date is super cute. Buying them $140 blazer, that's a lot of pressure, right? And the thing about it is, part of the reason why a lot of this is acceptable with what Kurosawa does is because him and Adachi have known each other for so long. This isn't like they just met last week and he's taking him on a first date and buying them all this luxury things and getting we'll talk about the helicopter ride, and the romantic dinner. I mean, those are all extravagant, but it's not like him and Adachi have only known each other for like a week. They've known each other for a good year or two. So really, honestly, even though this is their first date, they've hung out together. He stayed at Adachi's house for like days and took care of him. They've been at work together. They've been on business trips together and they've been out with seeing clients together. Like they've interacted enough where going shopping and buying him something is not unheard of, or it doesn't seem like too much. And so I could see why Adachi would be like, it's fine. Or Kurosawa would be like, it's fine. But Adachi's like, no. I don't want you to have to buy this jacket for me and spend your money. Like, no, it's fine. The experience, I feel like Adachi wants to sing J-Lo's Love Don't Cost a Thing to Kurosawa as loud as he can, but Kurosawa, like, he's like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast has turned into the prince. Now he wants to buy Belle everything and get her the library and everything, and she's like, well, hold on now. So, which although if I was Belle, I'd do like her and take that damn library. Sure. And then he's like, well, what occasion? And when he leans in, he says, our first date, obviously. That old man knew. That old man knew right then and there. He's like, okay, yeah. And just seeing him wear the clothes I chose for him makes me happy. I mean, on the one hand, I do like Kurosawa asking Adachi his type of clothes that he likes and everything. It's fine. Is there a little bit of possessiveness in someone wearing the clothes that are picked out for them? A little bit, but I think it works for Adachi and Kurosawa's case because it's something Adachi wanted. Kurosawa was just like nudging him along with what he thought looked good on him. So it's fine. Would I do something like that? No. I'm the world's pickiest clothes shopper. Unless it's like a shirt I'm wearing for a reaction or something, I'm really picky on clothes and it has to look a certain way on me. So I don't know if I'd want someone picking out clothes for me, but it works for these two. But yeah, he ends up using his own credit card. I like it's Viva instead of Visa. That's funny. And then when he says, when a man gives someone clothes, it's because he wants to undress them. And man, and Kurosawa's in the background like dee 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 dee. And then when Adachi looks up at that man, he's like, "Watch yourself, boy." That old man says, "Watch yourself, boy." That face is harrowing. That is the face of a man that's like, that man behind you is going to rail you if you don't be careful. That he's like, been there, done that, lad. Just watch yourself. Watch yourself, boy, is the funniest damn thing. One of the funniest things this series has given us so far, and I live. I'm taking a picture of that screenshot. He's like, well, that's what that means? Oh, I'm like, Adachi, did you not think that Kurosawa would be like, well, I bought you that blazer, so now I want you to wear only that blazer. Yeah, I'm like, Adachi, how'd you not know? How'd you not know? Bless it. Bless it. So yeah, so they decide what they're going to do next. And he's like, it's our very own special day. He like sings a song. It's so good. And then they go out sightseeing, which is super cute, like what we see in the OP, which is adorable. And he's like, I don't care if I'm self-satisfied. I only want what's in my heart. And it's very sweet. It's like, oh, this date song is so heartfelt. And then it slowly transitions to, I won't let anyone interfere. Like, he's like, I'm a little lapdog around Adachi, and I will turn into a German Shepherd and Belgian Malinois if you get in my way. Like, he's like, I will tear your face off if you get between me and Adachi. No one can take this thrill from me. So they go to Market Street, and he talks about having dinner reservations at this Italian place with a view of the ocean. He's like, we'll just pick up something light for lunch, like this bun. He's like, yeah, sure. That sounds like a great plan. Now, I'm glad that what these two girls say did not get Adachi down like I thought it was going to, because, like, being imposter syndrome is real, y'all. And I feel bad because I think I wish Adachi could see and understand how much Kurosawa loves him and the degree in which Kurosawa thinks he's beautiful and amazing. We as the audience have heard him say it so many times, but I feel like Adachi just has not let it sink in and he doesn't believe it. And I'm like, I want him to believe it. And I don't know if there needs to just be an example of Kurosawa going up to, like, what needs to honestly happen is for a girl to go up to Kurosawa and be like, why would you date him? You should date me. And Kurosawa would be like, because he's beautiful and I love him. Adachi needs to hear from Kurosawa's mouth out loud to public that I love this man. He is perfect for me. I love him as he is. He is beautiful. Y'all not gonna work. That needs to happen. And otherwise, Kurosawa, he's not going to believe that he's good enough for Kurosawa. And it's just, I hate it. I wonder what their signs are. I wonder what Kurosawa and Adachi's, like, signs are. I wonder what it is. I don't know if that's a spoiler to know what their signs are. I'll wait till the end of the season. But I'm like, are they compatible? Surely they are. What got me was when Adachi smacks away Kurosawa's hand, because I thought a lot of things about this scene. Like, on the one hand, he was really nervous in that moment and didn't think he was good enough for Kurosawa. But two, I didn't know if it was him thinking that they shouldn't look like a couple in public. The one thing I liked about this episode was that there wasn't the storyline of, oh no, we're two men in a relationship. How will the world accept us holding hands in public? Like, there wasn't that storyline, because that has been done many a time before, and it'll probably come up later in the series if they keep dating and all that. So we don't need to worry about it right now as of yet. But that wasn't really it. I also thought it was the fact that if Adachi didn't want to read Kurosawa's thoughts in that moment because he would be afraid it would confirm what those girls were saying. So that's why he smacked the hand away as well, which could be too. And I like Kurosawa is like, oh, I shouldn't have just grabbed you out of nowhere when you weren't paying attention, you know. And then he's like, oh yeah, we are on a date today. Putting it in words makes me unsure how close we should be acting. And the thing about it is when you're on a date, you just act like yourself. And he says, I'm trying to act like I normally do. And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, make the mistake when you go on a date of trying to act different than how you normally would be. And that's not how it should be. And it's so hard to not do that because you're trying to impress the person you're with. You're trying not to seem like an idiot, but it's like, you have to tell yourself at the end of the day, but if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. You can't hide it. You're just going to come out and say it. So it's like, we'll just make it work. But when I hear Kurosawa's voice, my heart leaps. I don't think we can go back to being just colleagues anymore. No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to work anymore. You guys went on a date. No. So then he's like, oh, we'll just go for a short walk. Now, the helicopter. The flowers were beautiful. The roses were gorgeous. I mean, if somebody got me a dozen roses on our date, I'd be like, oh, this is very nice of you. You could have given it to me at the end of the date because what am I supposed to do with these? But I would be like, that's great. The helicopter, again, giving such Millionaire Detective vibes, but with the roles physically reversed, if that makes sense. The helicopter was too much. The helicopter is too much. No. The date, the dinner with the night view sky at the Italian restaurant was bougie. A little bougie for a first date, but fair. You got money, Kurosawa. You want to drop it. Good for you. The clothing store, that was a lot, but you guys have known each other for a while. That's fine. Here's the things that are wrong with the helicopter ride. Because if somebody did this to me for the first date, I would be like, no. We need to back up real quick. Because here, what ends up happening is he's like, we're going to go on a short walk. And he's like, well, what is this? And he's like, oh, well, like I said, it's a walk in the sky. I would be terrified of a helicopter ride. I don't like flying, but I tolerate it because I know it's my only way from point A to point B sometimes. And I have to tell myself and mentally prep myself for days in advance and hours in advance while I'm in the airport to be like, okay, we've got no choice. We're going to have to do this. And the whole time I'm in the plane, I hate every second of it, but I have to get through it. And then once we've landed, I'm like, okay, we're good. We're fine. But I would hate it. I would be so stressed. So if your thing was to put me on something that has even more likely of a chance to crash, that's not going to be any better. Just like, no, I would hate a helicopter ride. I would be like, no, absolutely not. And he's just like, sure, isn't this romantic? And then he gives him the flowers. He's like, roses. He's like, why does this suit him so perfectly? Yeah, it's bougie. He's like, I know this is sudden, but I wanted to talk privately. And so he keeps talking. The funniest thing is he keeps talking through this moment. I don't know if the manga is going to show what he's actually trying to say in that moment. It's probably just nothing. But he's like, what is this? A Showa era drama? This isn't something 30-year-old men should be doing. Yeah, to be honest, he's like, helicopters scare me, but I can't hear what he's saying because it's so dang loud. And then he's like, will you ride with me? And he's like, yeah. I mean, and he just says, yeah, like, what choice do I have right now? But he missed every other part of the conversation. And Adachi's like, I'm actually terrified of this. So Kurosawa should have did some probing, not the probing we're thinking of yet. It's only their first date, y'all. But he should have done some research and figured out if Adachi liked flying first, if he was okay with it. If Adachi was like, sure, I love flying, or, oh, I've never been before, that would be so much fun, you're good to go. But if Adachi had said, I'm scared of heights, or I would never want to be in a helicopter, then that would be like, wee-oo, we need to cancel that flight. And he didn't ask ahead of time. And it's cool to surprise your partner, but something that extreme, you need to ask first before you spend your money to make sure that it's okay. And as far as talking privately, you still got a pilot in front of you. Like, his pilot's like, do you want me to, like, just not pay attention while you make out? I don't know. So I feel like if you really wanted to take him on a private walk to talk with him in private, you should have just got him the roses, taken him down, like, the landing or on the dock or something, or under a bridge by the beach or something like that, and just did that instead. But yeah, he's like, no, instead of Adachi gets super scared, and he's like, absolutely not. And he's like, well, this is your first date, so I'm so glad you're having fun, and I really like your smile. And then he's like, I can't do this. I would be the same way. I don't feel bad for Adachi. I feel bad for Adachi. I don't feel bad for Kurosawa in that respect because he should have asked him first before he went this far out. And of course, Adachi's the one that feels bad. He thinks he's being a chicken because he couldn't, handle the shaking of the helicopter. And he's like, oh, but a reservation. And he's like, no, it's fine. I canceled it. We'll just go home. And I was sad that their date got cut short, but I feel like Kurosawa was setting up so many things with the expectation of where the evening was going. And I don't think Kurosawa has been able to appropriately gauge how comfortable Adachi is with certain things, because Adachi may have noticed in this episode that his powers make him seem like he's much more on board with everything Kurosawa's, expecting of him, because Adachi, because of his powers, he has time to prep for answers. He has time to prep for what's about to happen. Because he can sense what Kurosawa is saying, he has time to prepare an answer or get ready to make a response. Whereas the reality is there's a lot Adachi's not comfortable with that Kurosawa is assuming that he is based on how he's acting. And it's like, oh no. So I really wanted them to go have the dinner and do all that. But my fear would be if they went and did the dinner, Kurosawa would keep pressing forward. And that desire within Kurosawa would keep getting stronger and stronger. And my feeling would be that he would try to make a move on Adachi who is not ready for said move. And that is important because if someone's not ready, they're not ready, and you've got to give them space and you've got to meet them on their terms. Consent is important. And so I feel like them going home, while it sucks for their first date, they did a lot of memorable things, and it gives Adachi time to kind of think about what he wants to do next and what he needs to do. So also this new intermission panel where it's got the kissing behind the phone. Excuse me, show? Excuse me, please? But yeah, so he takes him home. The one driver's like, got a bag of roses there. And he's like, Kurosawa wasn't mad that I was late, but I was nervous and I left all the date planning to him. My clothes were lame and I wouldn't hold his hand and I ruined the plans that he made for us. So of course Adachi feels bad and he thinks that he's not good enough to date Kurosawa. And this is where his powers come in handy so much and make me happy that he has them, because when he bumps Kurosawa, Kurosawa's like, I'm an idiot. I didn't recognize that he was scared. Why didn't I think about it? I was being stupid. I'm embarrassed. I've ruined this whole date. And Adachi says that's what he likes best about Kurosawa is when he's human and when he gets down to Adachi's level. And it's like, he's like that all the time, dude. He's like, I let myself get carried away on our first date and I failed to match his rhythm. And Adachi's like, oh, he is relatable. It's like, yes, of course it is. So the sad thing is they apologize to each other and I wanted them to talk more, but then there was a stupid car behind him and he just went on his way. He's like, Kurosawa was nervous just like me. That was the most charming thing he said all day. Kurosawa, that's why they need to talk to each other about this, because Kurosawa needs to know that of all the things that Kurosawa did, the best thing he did for Adachi was reassure Adachi that he's not the only one that was nervous and that they're both human and they're both a bunch of idiots just trying this crazy thing called love. It's just, these two. So I'm glad that Kurosawa was able to have those thoughts conveyed to Adachi, and Adachi in turn is like, oh, he seemed really dejected. He hasn't sounded that hurt in a while. So he's like, I know it's because I have this power, but he's probably still anxious. So next time I need to tell Kurosawa how I feel. He needs to use his wizardly powers for good, right? Do it for good. Now I want to see Kurosawa and Adachi as Glinda and Elphaba. Damn it. or Fiero and Elphaba. Can we have Adachi be Elphaba and oh my god, Kurosawa be Fiero? Can we have this? Is there fan art of this? Please let there be fan art of this. Can Rokoku... Would that make Suge Glinda? Or would that make Rokoku Glinda? Anyway. So he's like, I used to be scared of being disliked and I would run away at the first sign of failure, which is such an easy thing to do. Yeah, I feel like the easiest thing is that when you see the first sign that things are going down, just like ghosting and getting out of it immediately and not following through, trying to reach the other side. He's like, I avoided interacting with others, but Kurosawa cares about me. He went through all of this to make this day perfect for me and it didn't work out. If he's hurt by this, I need to try and help make it right. And that's so sweet. I love that. He's like, he was really cute when he was embarrassed by trying too hard. Oh my God. Look, Kurosawa needs to know these things. So he needs to know these things. Also, I feel like this episode, cemented the fact that we can put to rest that Kurosawa does not have telepathic powers. He cannot read Adachi's thoughts. That much is true. We've pretty much had that confirmed this episode, so I'm glad we got confirmation about that. It's just Adachi, so I'm guessing Kurosawa is not a virgin, which is fine. But yeah. So then Asahina is talking about this company response that they, were working on, and Kurosawa is just like an ashy. I'm like, did Kurosawa just get done watching Bocchi the Rock? If not, this entire gag of him like slowly turning to ash is straight up from Bocchi the Rock. If you've not watched Bocchi the Rock, you should probably do that. And those reactions are on this channel too. You should go check them out. That show is amazing and so funny. But yeah, this is hilarious. I was getting Bocchi vibes from this scene entirely. Also, this whole thing with the company response, the company that Kurosawa and the one guy is working with, it reminded me of like the Yakuza plot in Yakuza BLs. The Yakuza plot and Yakuza BLs are like the most secondary. Like, we're not here for that. We're here for the actual plot. That's what this felt like, But he's like, pull yourself together. We're counting on you to handle Albiro. And then Adachi comes by and he's like, Adachi. Like, it's just instant betterment. So Kurosawa, the rest of this episode, thinks that Adachi is going to break up with him. He thinks he's going to break up with him. And I'm glad that Adachi's like, no, are you free after work today? We need to talk. And so Kurosawa's like, oh my God, he's probably going to dump me, which for the model Kurosawa to think that Adachi's going to dump him, Adachi needs to hear that. He needs to hear that he's not out of Kurosawa's league. But instead, Adachi does something so simple, but so cute. And I know Kurosawa was like, you just took me to places that you wanted to go to. But honestly, he took him to places they knew they both would like. And so this was a perfect date. I like the first date was like Kurosawa's idea of trying to like go over the top and be extravagant. This was the perfect first date. They went to a manga store. They walked around and goofed off. They got the same new volume of a series that they both love. And they had some cheap beer and food like you do. And then they took a walk. Like, it was so simple. That'd be my kind of date. My kind of date would be going to a manga store, walking around goofing off, going and having some good food that isn't too expensive, and then going on a walk. That sounds like a perfect date. I'm here for that. Yes, yes, yes. He's like, remember? And he's like, I'd forgotten about it. This is all we could think about was our date. I love these, like, volume 15 ended with Domir's head getting blown off and somebody, like, 2 rows over is like, spoilers, dude. He's like, but I just don't think there's any way that he's dead after his head's been blown off. I mean, stranger things have happened in series I've watched on this channel. Especially a series we all have talked about on this series that's, related to heads getting blown off and people still living through it. But what are we talking about? He's like, it wouldn't make sense otherwise. And I love that they look at these little like manga panels that are on display. Some of it kind of looks like Demon Slayer a little bit, but not Demon Slayer, which is interesting. And they both get a manga, and then they go have like a drink at this restaurant, and it's super cute. And he's like, this place was cheap and tasty, and I've been going there for a long time. And he's like, I feel comfortable there. And Kurosawa's like making a mental note about being one of his regular spots. And so then they talk about the date. And Adachi's like, I really had no clue why couples would go on dates. I love these, like, I kind of wish they just run into traffic because of all the PDA. But he's like, I was just jealous of what they had. And Kurosawa's like, I never really thought of it that way. I just assumed my strategy of researching things that the other person would like was working. So Kurosawa viewed dates as just means of research, but he never really looked beyond them. And Adachi didn't really understand what the point of them was. And Kurosawa was like, there wasn't anything I wanted to do with them. So just researching them seemed like the only thing. Like, he wasn't interested in any of them. But he's like, all I could think about was what the other people thought of us. But that doesn't matter. I was glad you tried to make sure that I had fun. But I shouldn't have all the fun. There's no point in going on dates unless you have fun too. So it doesn't matter what others think or if I know what I'm doing or not. I love that he says this. I love Adachi comes out and is a freaking communicator. Like, in any other series, a character like Adachi would be so self-loathing or have so little self-value, they would just like be miscommunication central. But Adachi works through his shit, and I love it. I'm like, thank you, sir. You are an inspiration to us all. He's like, I just want to have fun with you. And Kurosawa's like, is that why we went to places you wanted to go to today? And he's like, well, you liked it as well. I love the little chibi Kurosawa. It's adorable. He's like, do you got a problem with that? I like when Adachi gets a little bit sassy. When Adachi gets a little bit sassy right back to him, I really like it. And he's like, oh no, I had fun. I'm like, here's the thing. Adachi is like my kind of sassy in a relationship where it's like, oh, no, you sure about that? Yeah. And Kurosawa is like slowly getting handcuffs out. And I'm like, not like that. Kurosawa is not my type of spicy, but Adachi gets spicy like I would get spicy. So, he calls himself gloomy and inexperienced, but he always lifts me up with his casual remarks. He's such a sweetheart. Maybe he really is a wizard. I'm glad I found the courage to ask him out. So I think he'd be very forgiving if Adachi turned out to be a real wizard, because he's kind of been imagining it already. So it would fit his description he kind of has of him in his mind to begin with. And then Adachi, meanwhile, hears from Kurosawa there's a tons of things he wants to do and places he wants to go with him. And I was like, oh, I bet he has the Kama Sutra ready to go. I fantasized about it a lot. He's like, yeah, I know. But he's never thought he'd get the chance to do any of it. And I was afraid you wouldn't like me if I told you that. And so he's like, well, and then he's like, what are you planning to do to me? And he's like, would you be turned off if I told you? I like that Kurosawa's like, if I tell you exactly what I want to do, are you going to think it's too much? And Adachi's like, But honestly, the answer Adachi gives him is the answer that I would give someone, being like, it will take a while, but I'll do my best a little bit at a time. I feel the same way as Adachi does. I'm not the type of person that wants to go full in like Kurosawa right off the bat. That is not me. I am an Adachi that's like, you got to hold your hand out like a baby deer and you got to slowly lead me away. That's how it goes. Yeah, no joke. Because otherwise I'm going to get like Adachi and think something's wrong. But Kurosawa with the high hopes. I'm like, oh my God. It will take a while, but I'll do my best. I said like a little bit at a time. A little bit. That's why this manga is still ongoing. But so then he's like, well, what are we going to do next? What's the idea of what we can do next? And we'll get back to that part there. We'll decide together what to do. And then when he says, watch out, he asked, they were almost about to kiss. It looked like he was really close to wanting to kiss. Kurosawa has done a very good job of restraining himself. A very good job of restraining himself. Because there have been multiple times throughout this series that I thought Kurosawa was going to try to make a move. And I'm all about consent. So I'm like, Adachi needs to be on board with it. And I think Adachi is on board with it, but he's still in baby deer mode. He's like, I might have had too much to drink. And in any other BL, I had too much to drink would be a signal for the top main character to be like, oh, well, then I can put the moves on you. But Kurosawa doesn't. Instead, he grabs his arm and he's holding it. And he's like, what did I just say? And he's like, oh, you should be careful. And that's when Adachi grabs his hand to hold it. He's like, just till we get to the station. And he's like a little cat holding it. But that's such progress. That's so good. That's so good. I love that to pieces. And Kurosawa's like, And Kurosawa's like, I'm so, like, all the thoughts are flooding him all at once. He's like, I'm so happy. He's so soft and warm. And he's like, my fingers are sweaty. He's going to know that I'm nervous. He's like, I'm so happy to be holding his hand. I'm never letting go. It's just like a big blur. And Adachi's like, I can't even hear what's happening in his head anymore. He's like, but whatever. I like that. I like that. I like that Adachi's like, you know what? If I can't hear him, that's okay. That's okay. I don't want him to be able to hear him forever. And I don't think he will forever once they, do the thing. But I do like the idea that he's just happy holding his hand. And he's like, it's a full moon tonight. He's like, you're right. Now, Kurosawa in his head wonders, the moon is beautiful tonight. I wonder if Adachi was familiar with that romantic statement. Because we all know when you say, oh, the moon sure is beautiful tonight, it's a statement of romance, right? And Adachi says out loud, I know that one. And that's when Kurosawa was like, oh, did I say that out loud? And Adachi's like, oh, shit. I was waiting for this to happen, but I honestly thought it was going to happen like episode 10 or 11, like right before all of this went down for the season finale. But nope, we're getting a preview of it now. Now, Adachi's able to kind of pass it off as being like, weren't you drunk? You said that out loud. Didn't you know? And he's like, oh, I guess that's true. And he's like, shit. He's like, I responded to him. That's not good. And Kurosawa's like, well, that would be impossible if he could. But I don't think Kurosawa was going to say anything bad about it. I think Adachi is, again, just thinking the worst, but I don't think that's true. I think Kurosawa's going to be fine with it. Now, Adachi's like, if someone else could read my thoughts and didn't tell me, I wouldn't want to be touched. I would hate it. Which prompts him to be like, I should probably tell him because I would hate that. So I should probably, is it okay for me to keep dating him without telling him about my power? What would he do if I told him I'm a wizard? Well, you've told your best friend, the gay author, that you're a wizard, and he didn't kick you out. So, I mean, you're thinking too hard about this, Adachi. If your best friend was fine with it, then here's the thing. If your best friend was fine with it and didn't think you were crazy, which, to be fair, now Suke is also as crazy as Adachi is, but if you can't tell him and he's okay with it, then it's not meant to be. And that's hard because you want it to be meant to be. So I can get why he doesn't want, to have him know, but you just said yourself that if someone hid that from you, you'd be mad and you wouldn't want to touch them. So you need to probably tell him about it. But is he going to do it next episode? I don't know. I feel like it hadn't dawned on me until now, that plot point of Kurosawa finding out that Adachi can read his mind, because there was a part of me that thought, okay, it's going to come up at some point. There was another part of me that was like, no, Adachi's never going to reveal it. And then once they have sex, it's not going to be a thing anymore. And then he'll maybe tell him about it later. Now it seems like it's going to be a plot point. So I guess we'll have to figure out, is that going to be something we address next week? Or is it going to be something that happens down the road? I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited to hear your thoughts down below. This episode was so good. The series is so good. I love this series so much. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'm going to answer some comments next time and come back and we'll be ready for episode 8, the Rule of 8, y'all. Oh my God, with this series, whoo, we're going to be seeing the Rule of 8 with Cherry Magic next week. And I'll see you there. Bye.